Welcome back, Vintage Gamers. Wednesday Night League here. If the sound volume is different or scuffed more from usual, it's because I broke the mic arm. I don't exactly know how I broke the mic arm, but I snapped it clean off. So, new mic arm is coming, but for now, this mic is just on my desk in front of me. I'm gonna try not to knock it over. I was actually talking with Patreon Carl, who submits donation deck lists. They are gonna have one later this month, but they had also had a cool deck idea that I just decided I wanted to take and run with. And that was playing Polymorph in a more vintage Saheeli shell. They had a bunch of other ideas that were a little too far out there. But the idea of playing Polymorph in a vintage shell is kind of fun. And there's a really nice shell for it, and that's Pio. This Pio deck does not take much to get a Polymorph package going. With Saheeli, which is already pretty reasonable in a Time Vault shell with a bunch of Moxen. I have Urza Saga, which obviously makes creature tokens to polymorph off of. And also Retrofitter Foundry is a not recent anymore, but a pretty strong non-creature spell that makes creature tokens. So the idea is no Mentor, no Snapcaster, no Lavinia. We have no creatures in our deck. We make creatures with our non-creatures, our lands, and our artifacts, and our planeswalkers, and then we can destroy those tokens, and we would flip into an Archon of Cruelty. If this was a challenge, I would be flipping into a Sarah's Emissary, because I would expect a higher volume of mono white, but in leagues, that doesn't exactly happen that way. So what we're going to do is, in the main, we're going to play a small 1 Polymorph, 1 Archon package, and then in the board, if we do play against a deck that is weak to Sarah's Emissary, think Bazaar, mono white, those kind of decks, then we're going to play a full 4 Polymorph, and we're going to up our token count with some hard evidence, which is right on the borderline of too weak to be played, but it's a blue card, pitches to force, makes blockers, makes a Polymorph token, and also makes you a clue token and draws cards later. So I'm actually intrigued to see how that goes. I know Matt Murray, before he left, had a bunch of cool ideas with hard evidence, or maybe that was after. Don't remember. But it's a very cool card, actually. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna play this PO deck. Obviously, this deck on its own merit is a strong enough deck to 5-0 a league. The amount of spice in the deck is fairly low in the main, though even the spice itself is fairly high power level. I think Saheeli is most certainly a vintage power level card. It's just very much a shell dependent card. As is obviously Saga and Retrofitter Foundry. Retrofitter Foundry a little bit on the weaker side, but definitely pretty strong with Saga and Moxen. So I'm excited. It should be a fun time, and we'll see what we get in this Vintage League tonight. If you'd like to see your deck played on this channel, check out the Patreon link in the description below, where you can find all the information you need to submit a donation deck list. Let's battle. All right, round 1. We got a powerful wizard across the table. The other Justin, who is going to be on some kind of Tinker deck. Our hand is kind of a low power level. We do have, Vamp or something, but I almost think in a Tinker Mirror that I want to mulligan this hand. I'm probably going to, which might surprise some people, but I think this hand is just not powerful enough in a Tinker Mirror, and it matters. This is a snap keep, though. I'm gonna bin this Saga, because I wouldn't bin the Saga if this was like a Sapphire or an Opal. But because this is something I don't want to crack, the magic number for picking up PO cards is typically 3. So if I were to crack my Lotus for blue mana, it would be quite bad. I could, of course... I'm on the draw. I'm gonna try. My gut instinct is I'm supposed to put this Saga away, but I'm gonna try this, because it does give me a nice backup plan if I'm countered. Maybe I can just go in for a PO for 2 because I have the backup Saga Crypt plan. That feels like it's possible. And as Slasher always says, Saga is a blue source, so... Alright, well, now I have no blue source. Now I have no real blue source. I actually think they should probably take Mana Crypt. But Black Lotus seems reasonable too. I did not see a Thoughtseize coming. Yeah, Mana Crypt. I like that. Smart play from the opponent. Takes away my Okay, we have a plan. We certainly have a plan. Oh god, am I getting mental misstepped? The world is cruel. The world is so cruel. Alright, well, my hand got picked apart. I lost all of my fast mana. But I still have a Saga, so... That's a great draw. A Ruby is a great draw. Is it a good enough draw to make a thing and cast Polymorph? It's not, right? I only have 5 mana, so I'm 1 mana short. So I think what we'll do is we're just gonna wait and one, two, two. We're just gonna wait, and I will wait until next turn, and then I'll crack my Lotus and make a Saga token. And then we'll either go for Polymorph or we'll go for PO. Kind of depends on what they do. Okay. So we're going to crack this, and I am going to tap. And I guess I needed to... I have a Mana Crypt, so... Oh, I don't have a Mana Crypt. I guess? No, I have a Soul Ring, though. I didn't need to hit this Tarn. I do think we're going to want the Soul Ring. I would always get a Mana Crypt here if I had an option to. So... Here's the thing. 1, 2, 3. I can play this, replay this. I would have to hit another Moxen to be able to PO again. They could also have Hull Breacher. They can have Negation, and they can have Flusterstorm. I think I'm going to wait on the Polymorph until my opponent has creatures out. And I'm just going to go for this. If they Hull Breacher me, obviously it's bad, but... Just Fluster. Oh, Hull Breacher? Ah, Hercule in response. That's... Yeah, that's also bad. That also counters my Polymorph, which is pretty fun. Okay. I mean, it would have been a bad outcome no matter what here, right? So... I'm just gonna search for my Underground Sea so I don't get needled. Alright, well, I still have a PO next turn. We have gameplay here. My opponent... Oh, never mind, I'm dead. Alright, my opponent's gonna just tinker me out of this game. They had way too much interaction for our hand to beat. They had Thoughtseize, Misstep, Hercules. Really pretty brutal. Or Vault Key, sure. I think they're just gonna tinker. So there's really not a huge chance this whiffs. Yeah, okay. Opponent was much more powerful of a wizard than I was. Ooh, a Sheoldred. Wow. Yeah, P9 has been on this like blue-black Sheoldred deck for a long time. I don't really see the upside of playing this deck over Esper. Don't really get it. I think Esper is just much better. Lavinia is too good right now to not play. I've been trying to get them to play PO. They were always a PO player. I don't know what happened. Esper is better than blue-black. And I just don't like the blue-black Sheoldred deck. I think it's worse than just playing Esper. All right, my opponent's hand was just much better than ours was. Not much to say there. We're going to bring in the Karn as the one-sided Null Rod effect, and maybe the extra Fluster. I'm not even sure. I mean, it's not even great. It's fine, but it's not that good. I'm gonna leave in the Polymorph Archon because it's fun, and that's why we're here. I do think I want Needle for the Saga War. I might not need a Needle for the Saga War though, because I have. Yeah, it's probably fine. Well, I actually kind of like Repeal too. I just don't think I want extra Flusters. I could bring in extra Flusters though. I typically find if you overload on Fluster in this matchup, it's not great. We do have like a bunch of random stuff I could cut. Like I could cut Polymorph Archon, but I don't want to. I'll just leave it out. Let's just do Island for Karn. This looks fine. I think they're ready for the Retrofitter Foundry. Not only does my Retrofitter Foundry make me tokens, they also make mana off my Tolarian Academy. Retrofitter Foundry is a sweet card. I'm really happy this exists. Am I getting probed? All right. What is happening? There's Dark Rituals? All right. I mean, they know my hand, so it's just Sheoldred. I really don't think you're allowed to play Dark Ritual in that deck. I really want you to have that. All right. All right, so if I draw a Moxen, I can, or even, yeah, a Moxen lets me actually make a servo and, ooh, interesting draw. So I can do top. I have played Dark Ritual in my Sheoldred deck, so I would know. I think what we're gonna do here is just Demonic for, I have 4 mana, so I can just Demonic for Ancestral. I think I like that the most. Good Demonic for Polymorph, obviously, but it's fine. I think we're just going to go for Ancestral. I'd like to do something this turn where they have no blue mana. I guess I could Time Walk. Time Walk gives me 1 card and 3 looks. Whereas this gives me 3 cards and 1 mana to use. Can still spin. Yeah, I'm going to take Ancestral. Time Walk is interestingly close there, though. Nice. Those are pretty good cards to draw. I guess we're going to take Soul Ring. Okay. We're not really scared too badly of Saga tokens with our Retrofitter Foundry. Oh, it was Sapphire. You might be right. I don't really want to do that. But it was definitely within range. I didn't think I would need to do that. It's very... Opponent is extremely incentivized to Saga stuff. So here I have like 1,000,000 mana, right? I can make tons of servos and stuff. I gotta make sure I don't get needled, I guess. So I probably will have to make some amount of stuff in response. I want to wait until they activate, though. No reason to give them extra information when we don't have to. So I'm going to have tap this, make a construct, or make a servo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could make another servo, untap and retap. I could hold open force and fluster. They could, but then they would miss a floating mana, so I don't think they would do that. So this currently makes 5. Do I think that having a second servo is better than holding open hardcast Force of Will for this turn? Man. I have a Saga coming, so no. If they Needle Retrofitter Foundry, I still have a Saga that they have to try to beat. They just went for Lotus. Okay. Does that mean like a Citadel, maybe? Or maybe... Oh, they have 3 cards in hand. Black, blue, Dark Petition with with enough mana to pay for the fluster, huh? It's an interesting deck. They do actually have Spell Mastery off of Probe Ritual. So they would get up to 6 mana. I can just let this resolve, though, right? I guess, what's the bad outcome here? Trying to think of a way this... I guess if they have a threat in hand, and then they have 2 threats, and maybe, like, if they have, like, double opposition or something. I don't know. I'm gonna let this happen, I think. I guess I can get Thought Seized. I guess if they have a Fluster in their hand, and they have a Payoff and a Thought Seize... I have a feeling I'm gonna have to use both of these cards this turn. Necro. Of course. Do you have a following payoff? No. Okay. 5 is like a lot. I think it's enough that I'm willing to jump. This Fluster looks really bad. Unless I find another force, I guess. Ah, Yagwell. Alright. No shot. So they did go for a second payoff spell, I think, off of this Dark Petition. I do think I'm just gonna shuffle this away. I think we're worth it here to spin. Oh. How much is this even for? I would have to draw with my top. I could use my opal, make a thing, make 5 mana, draw with my top, pick up. I mean, that's got to be worth it, right? Make a saga. Make 5 mana, draw with my top. PO these. Sapphire, Soul Ring, Opal, top. Spin top. Another PO. I can't hold open this force because I use too many things. What about Yogwill? Doesn't actually get me more than just Ancestral. I do think I'm willing to draw another 3 blanks and lose my top. Or another 3 randoms, I should say. All right, well, I can die here. I can just get my top back with my Saga, though. Sure. That's a rebuy. I mean, they're gonna lose the constructs here, right? My constructs are so big with Saga and or with Foundry and everything. I probably don't want to make a servo tapping Mana Vault. Actually, kind of do want to make a servo tapping Mana Vault. I think I'm allowed to lose the Mana Vault mana. All right, so what do I draw? Force. Oh. Maybe to my next step. Get a servo or get a thing. I don't think I need like a manifold key or anything. I would rather just get a top and take a look at what I have on top. Ponder. I can actually cast Citadel. Probably worth doing. How much left over is this? 12 minus 6 is enough. Cool. I accept. Urkel's Recall. Hardcast Force. I had a Force second down. Maybe I should have put Force second down. I wasn't really playing around Hercules as their last card. Maybe I was supposed to. Kind of seems silly when I have a Force in my hand already. All right, well, we definitely did the magicking there. The Flusterstorm was kind of kick-ass. They have Dark Rituals, so I do think I'm going to bring in another Flusterstorm. I'm going to keep in this Repeal. I kind of actually like the ability to have Polymorph Archon against this Sheoldred. What do I want to take out then? I guess I'll take out a Mystical. It's not great, but I think it's fine. All right. Certainly into this. I'm gonna get Thoughtseize, aren't I? Thoughtseize? I don't know. So I had a really poor opinion of Thoughtseize when I started playing Vintage. I've been kind of warming up to it. It feels like it's better now for some reason. I don't exactly know the reason, but it does feel that way. Well, maybe I'll slant this down a little. Can I even do that? Oh, no, it's gonna fall. It is gonna fall. I ruined everything. All right. Never mind. Yes, you came to my stream for Polymorph, but what you really got was 2 Tinker Masters fighting to the death. They're on a mold of 5, so they're trying to figure out what's the plan. I posted a nice one to the I don't know. I just like been very impressed by Thoughtseize recently. Like, look how good this Thoughtseize is. I don't know. It's been good. I think the reason is because vintage has become so play draw. If you're on the play with a Thoughtseize, it just feels good, man. Am I supposed to cycle this repeal? I mean, a PO probably wins the game. I think I'm going to. God, I'm good at this game. Should I play around Mind Break Trap? Should I play around Force of Negation? I mean, their discard only costs them 1 card if they just follow with a Force here, right? No. Like, obviously Force is better, but you can only play so many. Welcome back to this Vintage League. What do we got? We get a mulligan. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would at this point, Zijan. I don't think I would either. In leagues, it's not that bad because there's more things that hits, but wow, I have 2 hands with no castables. Yep, that's where we're at. I'll just put a PO back. F6. A lot of Saga Gaming happening tonight. Every game, Saga Gaming. No one can stop me. I love a good Gitaxian F6. High value. Both players, high value. I don't think this is a YOLO turn 1 PO against a possible both player. I guess man. I guess I'm probably not even playing my Lotus to play around Mindbreak Trap because Oath is just snap playing Mindbreak Traps in the main these days. So I'm going to hold on to this Lotus. Am I spinning or brainstorming? An excellent question. I don't have an answer for that question. I'm going to spin. Mostly because of Force of Will. Shit. Things are bad. Things are very bad. If we had brainstormed, I would have been quite a sad Justin. I have no idea how I'm progressing this game. I guess we can go for an end of turn PO with Fluster back up, but I just don't know if that's even good. Like, we know what we draw into. We draw into Demonic and what was the other card? Demonic and second top. Yeah. We also have a shuffle effect with our Saga. That is a true statement. We're gonna just play our Lotus and pass. I don't think there's any chance we would like Demonic with Flusterstorm, but I just like I don't like to play on main phase against these decks. Mostly fine-ish. I don't know if I agree. The only reason I would agree is because my opponent has very little cards in hand. So I would draw 3 total with my top. Yes, I would draw for top, and I would draw for Sapphire, and I would draw for my top trigger. I don't think we're ever resolving a PO here in this situation is kind of what I'm more talking towards. Like, my opponent is like a 4 Pyro, 4 Fluster, 1 Mindbreak Trap, 1 Negation, 4 Force deck. And there's no way I'm playing on my turn, and I'm not convinced I would want to activate top on their turn with a PO on the stack. So I think what I'm looking for here is, I think I'm probably going to brainstorm off of Black Lotus and make a Saga token. Now, I understand that exposes me to... I guess I don't have to do that. I can just do it... I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. What do I want to do? If I do that now, I really want to do something with this mana right now. I guess I do technically have PO for 3. We have a DT coming. I don't know if we want a DT coming. We do have a Black Lotus. I just don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I want to make Saga tokens or not, too. I can just spin. I think I'm going to brainstorm and then I'm going to spin. I think I'm going to hold this Lotus and maybe use it to make a token and demonic or something. I'm not really sure. A force is an interesting one. I definitely would want to draw this demonic over this top, but I'm gonna still spin. I don't know. I really want this. Kind of want this underground. See, I guess I have maybe probably a Moxen coming off this saga. So, all right. So we could use this Lotus and make a saga token. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I am just going to get a Opal or a Jet and cast Demonic. I think a Jet is better. See what they do about this. So this resolves. I think the answer to this is just Ancestral. Like, obviously, Tinker is the highest value play, but it looks real hard to pull off. I guess all of this looks real hard to pull off. Is there any alternative lines we can consider? Like, there's Tinker and there's Ancestral. I guess there's technically something like Mana Crypt. Yogg is a little too weak right now. I don't really like the idea of Yogg, especially into like I think they're gonna play a bunch of Flusterstorms. We could just tutor for a Saga. That's kind of interesting. That's like tutoring for a Yogg, but not counterable. Academy is not a bad idea either, but I guess both of them, both Academy and Saga, are both weak to Wasteland. We do have Fluster. I wish we had Force and Fluster. Let's try it. It might end up just being that we don't tap our top. I think Saga might have been better. I kind of agree, but this does give me a lot of range. Like, this gives me pick up all 4 with Fluster up, right? We don't know our top card, though, so we can't blind, like, our blind draw is not great. They did not hit. All right, I think I'm just going to spin. I don't think this is the turn. I think the next turn is the turn. Okay, now this is really easy. So I am just going to PO and let them counter it, and then I'm going to untap, and I'm going to Tinker with Force Fluster backup. There's one. Untap. Make mana. Make blue mana. Make black mana. Force. I don't have a high enough count right now. Force, 2 cards in hand. They can't fluster us still. Nice. I would never concede there if I was them, but I'll take it. I think we played that game pretty well. All right, so we don't know they're on Oath. Someone in chat said they're on Oath. It does look like they could be on Oath. Don't know for sure. I think the plan stays the same, except we bring in a fluster. Don't want to take out an island in this matchup because they are typically a wasteland looping deck. Just can take out a mystical. Everything else is fine. Yeah, it did. DT for Academy was ended up being pretty good. I think you have options there. I think Academy is fine. I think Saga is fine. I think Ancestral is okay. I think Tinker is like too greedy, but it's like a choice. It's pretty clear my opponent is like likely has multiple counter spells in that situation. Classic. I have the Archon in my hand. The thing is, the rest of this hand's garbage anyways, so it's not a huge deal. Mulligan is. Let's mulligan. That is... God, it's so bad against like Wasteland and Vigor and Claim. I don't think you can keep this hand. We don't mulligan this hand too. This is definitely our best hand. Let's get rid of this Yogwell and this key. And maybe we can cheese a Polymorph in here. Should be interesting. They ended up keeping 7 on the play here. So it could be pretty tough. Our hand's like pretty weak, but at least there's a game plan. That's bad. Orchard Oath? Not Orchard Oath. I mean, it could just not be Oath. It could be like blue-red spells. It's hard cast force. All right. I kind of want to hold this probe for Saheeli, but I think it's more important to know what the heck's going on. And also to draw into Moxen. I guess this does expose me to getting dazed, but I think that's probably fine. Really? I accept. Okay. Interesting. I don't think my hand was ever beating a fluster, so this kind of works out. I'm gonna hold this Sapphire. I think I don't want to show this Sapphire, and it also lets me do something like if I draw Lotus, I can go Lotus, Saheeli, Sapphire. Kid Probe was a duress. Kind of. I didn't get to see their hand though, so I don't know if it counts. All right, another pass, Reno. What is happening? Land? Retrofitter Foundry. Yeah, I guess so. I'm gonna fetch a basic island and play this Retrofitter Foundry, I guess. I don't think we're gonna activate it very much. Maybe we should have boarded out Retrofitter Foundry against possible Oath of Druids. Maybe. Knowing my luck, I'll just get strip mine for my insolence, but it's fine. I accept. Yeah, I probably should have boarded this one out. Polymorph for South. It's a little weird. I guess they could make. Oh, wait, that hasn't come up. That hasn't come up. We opponent could give us orchard tokens and we could polymorph. I still don't know if my opponent's actually on Oath. That's just what someone said. So I don't think this works that way unless we get all the way to I think that helps us. Just turns it into a Thopter. Alright. Rebuy. We're on the rebuy life. You don't got anything for us? Nothing? Uh-oh. Oko? It's Oko time. It's Ren and 6 time. That's also bad. Things are bad. Things are very bad. Things are still bad. Where's my mana? I need mana. I guess it could be worse. I could be getting strip mined. Yeah, this is a tough matchup for PO. Uh-oh. And it's Oko time. Do I get an elk? Or do you get an elk? Who's elking this game? They're elking this game. Interesting. Interesting. No, stop. I'm already dead. I'm pretty sure an Archon does not get it done against Oko anyways, so... Oh, we're time walking to get our Ren and 6 all the way there? That sounds bad. I shouldn't have told people to put Mystic Sanctuary in Oath. What was I doing? How could I let people in on this secret technology? Well, they're going in. I'm super dead. Super dead. What is this? Is it dig through time? What a mad lad. How? What? You can't cruise there? You just got rid of your time walk and your fetch land. Guess I have to keep playing. There's no anything here anymore. You just don't have the cards. You don't have a fetch land and you don't have a time walk. I don't like that play. I don't think it matters, but I want it to be known that I don't like that. Sheesh. I'm dead. Can I win the game if something happens? Yes or no? No, I think the answer is no. I'm gonna go with no. I guess I can draw Ancestral still, and they could have no counters left. Servo. Block. Ancestral into PO, and they have no counters? Oh, wait, I'm dead. They found the line. Okay, interesting. I actually think I do want a Karn in this matchup. I'm kind of off this repeal. No, repeal's pretty good. What am I off? I am off Retrofitter Foundry. That's what I'm off. All right, that went really badly, but they did keep 7 cards, and we didn't. This is technically Lotus, Merchant, Ancestral. I don't even think that's good. Don't even think that's good. 102 is a large number. This certainly looks good. What do I bottom in this? I don't know about this. I don't know about this. So I can DT for a Mana Crypt and PO. Probably shouldn't do that. These sagas look so susceptible. Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. Alright, we're on to demonic and ancestral life. Ooh. No, we're still demonic ancestral. Hope everything works. Are we? Yeah, ancestral on their upkeep though. I guess we could just tinker. That's probably a higher chance of winning. They know my force is in my hand. I think I don't like Tinker turn 1. So now I kind of wish I had cast Mana Vault first. Whatever, I'm done. We're done playing this game. We're going in and we're hoping everything works. God, how does it work? Never leave home without your Tinkers, chat. It's just free real estate. I swear. Oh, it's so easy. Imagine not playing Tinker in this format. Couldn't be me. All right, round 3 now. We're up against Renee, so a third Tinker mirror. Let's battle. Polymorph might actually end up being good against Renee, because they have so many creatures to kill off with our Sarkhan. I think I'm going to keep this hand. It is definitely a sus keep, but I think I like it. Yeah, by a lot. I think Tinker's a much, well, it depends. Like some Tinker decks are weak against initiative. Like playing Grixis Breach is bad against initiative, but in general, the Tinker decks are a much higher power level than the initiative decks, and you get to play Force of Will. So I would certainly not register the initiative deck over a Tinker deck in this showcase. Bastard. All right, they looked at my hand. They see my 0 mana land. If they play any Moxen, I will snap repeal them. But now they're less likely to play Moxen because of Gataxian Probe. When is the showcase? This Saturday. Saturday is the Vintage Challenge on Saturday is being replaced by the Showcase Challenge. Top 8 gets to go to the qualifier for the Mox. All right, so they did play it, so I do have a repeal target. If they play a Saga, though, I'm kind of incentivized to not repeal. So we'll have to see what happens. They get to operate with perfect information here, which doesn't seem fair at the cost of literally nothing. Gataxian Probe. Oh no, it wouldn't be a Renee hand if there wasn't a Black Lotus. Okay. What else we got? Tinker? Hull Breacher? If it's Renee, it's much more likely to be a Hull Breacher. You got it. Whatever you want, it's yours. Everything you could ever wanted. I mean, they could have Ancestral in their hand and get a Fluster, yeah. They could have a Fluster in their hand and get an Ancestral. I don't really have a lot of agency here. I have Double Force, but if I pitch Double Force, I lose my Tinker. Which is not good. I don't think we're in a good spot. Let's put it that way. Give me some time to think. They're tanking. What could you tank about here? Why would you tank here? Is the reason... What could be the reason? You have 5 cards. If you didn't have a force, would you get a force? No, because you know I have 2 forces. So the real choice is Ancestral or Fluster, and I think it's just always Ancestral because it forces me to take action. I'm going to repeal this Pearl. Is that stupid? That was my whole plan the whole time anyways. I think I want to know if I need to know if my academy is turned on to make this decision, to be honest. You doesn't even have the old border, old frame. What a travesty. Probe is very good magic card. All right, we're just gonna try to hit a Moxen and Tinker here, so. Not a Moxen, chat. Not a Moxen. All right. Well, we had chances. We did have chances. Now I think we're gonna die to Saga. I think they have a force in their hand. Oh my god, you're so late, Mental Misstep. Wait, they just F6 through their Saga token. Nice. They're they're so scared to dress down. They don't even want it. Yeah, we're very dead. We're super dead. Everything that went badly went super badly. I guess I should have just force pitching repeal. I mean, I don't think I'm winning this game if I force pitch repeal either, so. Peak is a lot different than probe. Don't tell Brian, but peak is a lot different than probe. I have an Archon of... At least they can't probe my my Archon of Cruelty right now. I'm just gonna pay life, I guess. What's the worst that could happen? Are you kidding me? All right, they're too good. Renee has never seen a Tinker Mirror they didn't like. Never. Man, the difference between having Black Lotus and Probe and not having Black Lotus and Probe, fairly significant. It's kind of sad because if they didn't have Force, which doesn't feel likely, I think they do have a Force. We did have like some really easy Tinkers just off of any Moxen, really. Even Opal. Like, I'm still not ready to concede this game. My opponent just has nothing. All right, Saga Gaming. That'll throw Renee for a loop. Should we get a mana crypt with this? I mean, I'm just jamming, right? All right, I don't care anymore. Ban jamming. Super jamming. Jamming. You got it? I think they have force. I think they just chose. Woohoo! The game continues. The game continues. I'll take 4. They didn't have it the whole time. Crazy. We can put the Archon on top. Oh my god. We're doing it. So I put the Saheeli. Hold on. Some thoughts need to be had. What card do I want to draw through? I guess the island is the one I want to draw through. Or I can just draw through... I could... I guess it's just the... I guess it doesn't matter very much. Alright. I'm going to cast my Archon of Cruelty off of my Bolas's Citadel. God bless. Yeah. I didn't expect that to happen this game. I did not expect that to happen this game. So I think we're winning now. I do think this is worth. They had Time Twister. Oh, we hit a bunch of Moxen in a row, too. We actually are blanked out here, so we can just play a Foundry. All right, so this game is not over, but we do have an Archon in play. Uh-oh. Do we die? We just get Volt Keyed. Classic Renee. Damn. That's unfortunate. Classic Saga on the top of my library. That's never happened before. Wow, that's unfortunate. We actually lost this game after resolving Citadel. I don't think we could have changed the way we sequenced that, right? Damn. Oh, man, they go to 10 life, too? I know, I'm not close to my Citadel or anything, but... Damn. They just had too much action left in their hand. I guess that's why they had no count. Wait, what? Wait, what? What am I missing, chat? Why would they... Oh. They already had it in their hand. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I guess we needed to hit Time Walk. Or Force. Or Fluster. That's so unfortunate, man. I was so happy. We resolved our card. Everybody had a good time. Then nobody had a good time. Oh, I threw the game. I threw the game. I threw the game. I threw the game. I know the order I needed to do it in. I know the order. If I had put Saheeli on top of Archon... No, I have no artifacts that have haste. Never mind. I have 0 artifacts with haste, right? So that doesn't work. I was thinking we could turn our Moxen into an Archon and then attack and draw through. Also puts them in lethal range of Citadel, but we don't have any. We have no artifacts that have been in play for a turn, so that doesn't work. That makes me happier, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what the other 3-mana Saheeli is. Right now, Renee is probably just like in the back of his head trying to figure out why an Archon of Cruelty got cast. Probably is going to figure out, or will think it's Oath of Druids, right? Because there was a Saga Oath of Druids deck that put Archons of Cruelty, right? Maybe, was that my deck? No, I didn't have Sagas in my deck, but there was a Saga, a bug Oath Saga deck. That's when people were like, oh yeah, Saga's so broken, it goes in every deck. And then they realized, oh, no, it's not. It doesn't go in every deck. All right, what do I got? What do I got? What do I got? That one does not look very strong. Let's try again. This one is Saga Gaming, so I'm told that's good. We'll do it. Not a great hand versus Renee, because we don't have, you know, turn 1 Mindbreak Trap, Force of Will, Mental Misstep, but we do have the initiative in terms of playing Saga first, which that could be good enough. Did they see Saheeli? I don't think they saw Saheeli, no. They probably will put me on Saga Oath, which was technically a thing at one point in time. That's a lot of Moxen. That's enough to cast a Hull Breacher on turn 1. Or I guess an opposition agent. That would be equally bad. Probably worse. Uh-oh. 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 That's actually a pretty good draw because it lets me have Flusterstorm and play another Saga. Hull Breacher twist? Guaranteed. Sakia. Narset, not Narset. Okay, Narset. Okay. We've got some good. We have some creatures to kill my Narset. I enjoy that. What do you think? With the amount of Urza sagas in the format these days, do you think they could unrestrict Narset? Man, I wish I had something to Yogwill back. I don't think we need another saga in our lives. Saheeli, repeal, mental misstep. I'm just gonna leave mental misstep on top. At least it gives us something else to play to. And then let's kill their Narset. I just don't think you need to copy constructs, right? Like we have, so, or they're like dead on board already. So it's just the biggest problem right now is surviving. They actually are, they are just dead on board to active constructs without any other constructs. Though it's definitely possible that I respin into a Saheeli at the end of turn, just to get a 4th one so it can get through like one Hull Breacher blocker. I don't know. If my opponent doesn't like murder me with a combo, we just have the superior tokens. Red, white, blue, Dak Baden? Classic Renee. It's okay. We have repeal. I don't know if we're supposed to, like, this gives them an extra mana. I don't think we have to spin and grab the repeal, right? So I think this is fine. We'll give them the extra mana. Though we might want the Saheeli now. Because we currently don't have lethal anymore. Actually, I don't think we're going to ever be able to have lethal here anymore. I'm just going to take the repeal and... Do I want to repeal with the Saga trigger on the stack to get a Saheeli? If I do that, I actually don't have enough blue sources. I guess I could get a Lotus. So if I have a repeal and my repeal resolves and I get a Lotus, I could stand up Jet. And that would give me 721. All right, let's give it a shot. Also, Lotus helps my Yogg-Will, so I don't want to do this in draw step. I want to do this in main. Repeal targeting my construct. All right, what do you have? They have their own repeals in the deck as well. I guess maybe we did want to do it in draw step, because then they don't get to float. Wow, I didn't even think about that. We only, Yeah, I should have done it in draw step. Then the mana would have gone away. Is this going to be a counter spell for my repeal? Hull Breacher. So annoying. Oh, I can at least kill the Hull Breacher by having lethal attackers. I guess I can technically make a construct and still do this. I just won't hold up Flusterstorm, which is worse. So I'm just going to float, get a Black Lotus. Spin first. Bolt Opal. This really does anything, right? Wait, where's my Saheeli? Oh my god, I didn't draw the Saheeli. Because of the Hull Breacher. Okay, well, now I have Black Lotus, Repeal, Saga. Yeah, I didn't want to shuffle my top away, though. All right, Black Lotus, Yogg-Will. I do think it's worth enough to bounce this. Oh, I just draw myself into another Flusterstorm because I'm bad? I think I'm actually gonna have to kill Dak Faden too. This went so badly. I'm so stupid. They have Pyro after all of this? Okay. I can still hold open Flusterstorm, because I have draw to Opal. Do I have to spin first? How did I order this? I had Flusterstorm on top underneath Opal, so I need to change this to give me Opal on top. I think I played this so badly, but I mean, we're still ahead. We still have 2 constructs and a new saga. They're going to put a Hull Reacher back in their hand. We attack, and we attack them, and we attack Dak. And then we still are holding open Flusterstorm, which is obviously telegraphed by my Mox Opal, but I guess it also technically lets me spin, so. They also have a lot less cards off of their academy now. Oh, they did draw with top that turn, huh? I kind of forgot that happened. I will have lethal constructs again. Hull Breacher, I assume, now. Makes sense. Oh. Does this mean they have Hull Breacher with backup? Or Tinker with backup? Ancestral? I should just fluster this, right? If they pay, they're dead on board. I guess they can Hull Breacher in response. They should have Hull Breacher in response. Why didn't they Hull Breacher in response? That was weird. Maybe I just did it so confidently. They were just like, okay, I guess he has something with his 0 cards in hand. They're gonna pay? What's happening? I just do it with confidence. When you're, especially when you play Paper Magic. Oh god, just do. So now they have to like find Black Lotus or something. Yeah, they're just dead on board. You know I have a top and a saga. Unless they have Mental Misstep. But then they would have used Mental Misstep to counter a Flusterstorm. That was a weird game. Guess we'll just be happy we're playing another game. Okay. I don't think I played that game even close to a reasonable level, but we'll take it. Yeah. That was weird. That was real weird. It is what it is. We've had some cool games tonight, though. Like, Tinker Mirrors can be pretty swingy. So the fact that we've had some pretty back and forth Tinker Mirrors has been kind of nice. This is a sweet hand if I can draw an extra mana source. Flusterstorm is not actually that bad either. I'm just gonna play out all of my Moxen, and I'm actually not sure I'm supposed to cast Ponder. I can hit oh. Yeah, I can hit like Academy and stuff. It's probably worth it. I might be actually supposed to use Opal then. I did hit Lotus. My God. So I have Karn with Force Fluster backup. Okay. I think Karn's better than POing here. My counter magic's better, and they can't Pyro or Fluster this. All right, they have Force. Force back. Then they can have one more. I can beat one more. I guess I don't have to Force back. I can just Fluster back. Is there a better way? Yeah, this doesn't open myself up to Pyro. So I guess it's better to just Fluster back. Fluster's better if they have Mindbreak Trap as their last card. So they have Fluster. Sorry, we have to go through this. All right. Good luck, friend. So let's test Renee's Magic Online skills. Renee, we don't really need to test Renee's Magic Online skills. They are like one of the most winning players from 2022. I think they were in the top 10. Renee had a good year. Saga and Hullbreacher have been good to Renee this year. Because Renee didn't always have a very high win rate. They had a pretty reasonable win rate, but their deck got a lot better. Because they played the same deck before Saga. Kind of interested now. Win rate with condition of greater than 99 matches. Survey says Renee was 7th with people who have 100 matches or more with a 61.7% win rate in challenges. All right, so I just need to force on your force. So, like, here's the trick. Renee played Tinker, Big Blue, Grixis Tinker before Saga, before Hullbreacher, before any of that. And when it wasn't a good deck. And now it's a very good deck and has been a very good deck. And they have lots and lots of Tinker reps. They know their deck pretty inside and out. So it's really cool to see them being rewarded for their reps. All right, so I have no. I hit the wrong button. But, all right, whatever, it's fine. I wanted to hit. I don't know what I wanted to hit. I wanted to hit something. I think I wanted to hit view sideboard, and I went for pass the turn, which is not ideal. All right, I mean, I wasn't gonna be able to play around this, unfortunately, but it might get me killed because I can just get a needle, and it depends on if they have any Moxen they have in their hand. It's be a 2/2. It'll be a yeah. I could lose this game because of this messed up plus actually. Well, that's not Magic Online skills. That's streaming skills. When you end up talking, you can make these kind of mistakes. So yeah, if my opponent hits a artifact to cast, then we lose this game, or probably just lose this game on the spot. I actually think that doesn't matter because we are just going to lose this game either way because we have a Force of Will as our next card deep. Yeah, there's no Karn board because Karn is actually in the sideboard of the deck. It's just a one-sided no run. It's just a one-sided no run, nothing else. Like, Aladdis wouldn't even be good here anyways. All right, so they're going to make a 2/2. It's going to go up. Yeah, so we actually do just lose this Karn because I didn't plus. That's nuts. That's so super crazy. So sad. I wanted to go view sideboard is what I wanted to do. And I just went for yield until end step. Yeah, I guess they could always needle Karn too. If I had plus Karn, maybe they would needle Karn. I don't know if they would. I guess I can stand up needle the block. Again. Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, this is just doomed. I'm gonna concede. Yeah. They steal my thing, my mana, that I can't cast a Healy, and I draw Force of Will, and I'm just dead on board. Not dead on board, but I'm just gonna lose a grinding game against Dak Vaden. All right, here we are now. Round 4. I don't know what opponent's playing, but my hand's quite reasonable, so let's see. Are we playing Tinker Mirror number 4? Certainly could be. I'm gonna not play Retrofit Foundry. I don't think it matters right now, and I would like to be able to hold open PO in case they had Vigor. I don't know if they would have Vigor, but like it's a possibility. I think it's a pretty reasonable thing. All right, nice island artwork. Good choice, opponent. Definitely not casting PO though. Not into open like Flusterstorm mana. Saheeli. Saheeli, I think I am interested in casting. They force it or pyro it. I think I just let that happen too. I really think this card is good. We'll see what happens. Okay, it resolves. I'm not going to turn my Mana Vault into a Pearl, or my Pearl into a Mana Vault here. I'm just going to leave it open. If I ever cast a Force, I do get a Servo. That's not a good sign. Certainly not a good sign. I get an Ancestral. There's no way we're fighting over an Ancestral in this game. It's just not happening. All right, so Esper could be PO, could be Tinker. So if we turn our creature into a Mana Vault, it doesn't have. I mean, it can tap, right? Because it shouldn't be summoning sick anymore because it's not a creature anymore. Target artifact you control becomes a target artifact creature you control except it's an artifact. It's only when we're turning non-creatures into creatures that we need to be aware if they can attack or not. Academy is such a good draw here. We're gonna have infinite manas. All right, so I'm gonna play a Retrofitter Foundry and trigger my Saheeli. And then, oh, I was supposed to tap my freaking island. Oh, I guess I can just turn my Servo into a Mana Vault and go for PO. All right, so I'm gonna turn target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target. So I'm going to turn this Servo into a Mana Vault. And then I'm going to tap my Servo and PO everybody. Oh, I can't target this because it is a... And then I get a Servo, and then I can float mana with my Tolarian Academy. If they let me. Yeah, but it's going to untap next turn, and we can just turn it into Mana Vaults every turn, too. Or not every turn, twice. I'm going to make enough mana off this PO. It just resolves? I'm sorry to say, my opponent, you are likely dead here. I am going to drop 3 more cards. I guess I should have Mysticaled first. I don't think it matters. Is there any reason to play Saheeli? No, we're just going to play Volt Key and kill them. I'm gonna just get a Tinker or whatever, and yeah. No, I don't think any of that matters. They already don't have a force, and we have a force, so we can just go for Tinker Volkey. I don't have to Tinker either. I can just get Volkey, but I was just gonna sacrifice this Mana Crypt. Nothing matters. All roads lead to victory there. All right. So we don't know if they're Esper Tinker or Esper PO. All we know is it's probably going to be another Tinker match. We have not gotten to board into our sweet Polymorph. I'm sorry, chat. We've played against no Bazaar and no Mono White. Such is life. I've been leaving in Archon Polymorph just in case we can get to do it. Yes, I think it is a good thing we didn't have a Sarah's Emissary in the main. Not that we've gotten to Polymorph yet either, but in Vintage Leagues, lots of Tinker. No Mono White. In Vintage Challenges, still lots of Tinker, but a lot more Mono White. I don't know what I want to take out here. I'm just gonna do the same thing I did last time. Just get my Null Rod and my Fluster in. I really want to cast a Polymorph, okay? I guess we did put an Archon in play. We just put it into play off of Citadel, so kind of weird. I'm definitely always keeping this hand against a possible Esper Mirror. Yeah, that's me every time I metagame a challenge, except for that one PTQ. I'm pretty excited for the showcase. I think I have a really interesting PO build that has some nice tech against the format. Yeah, this isn't Legacy. Like, when you want to beat a deck in Vintage, you can very easily beat any deck you want. You just have to be willing to sacrifice, other matchups. There is no deck in Vintage where you can't beat it if you just tool for it. So I know Not Me's deck is absolutely great against Mono White and Bazaar, but it's going to struggle versus combo. Which makes it a kind of not a great choice into this metagame that is like 30% aggro, 30% combo, 20% Bazaar, 20% other, but 20% control at this point, I guess. But it's a sweet one if you just hit all Mono White. The problem is there's not that much Mono White in the I don't think there's going to be that much more Mono White left in the winner's metagame as the number of Mono White dies down and the win percentage of Mono White dies down. I do think there will be an increase of Mono White this weekend because I think the showcase will draw a lot of players who are not in the play the format a lot, and they'll all play Mono White. So yeah, but you're not switching sideboard cards. You're switching entire decks, really. Like, I agree. I think so. Like, Sunday was the lowest Mono White's percentage, both the lowest Mono White percentage of players and the lowest Mono White win rate since it's been a thing. But the Saturday showcase will be a lot more Mono White players because people from other formats think it's broken, right? And they're gonna come in and they're just gonna jam it. And that's not saying the deck isn't good. The deck is good. My opponent looks like they're debating whether they want to go all in on a Tinker or not. That's kind of the read I'm getting here. And they probably are supposed to, and they're going to get forced. No, they just went for Ancestral. I am going to force this. I just don't know if I'm going to force this pitching Brainstorm and just try to draw a blue card. Yeah, it has a high floor. The deck has a very high floor. I did not draw the blue card I was looking for. So we are susceptible to Magic the Gathering, but we'll see what happens. I think Vintage is not only very fun right now, but also one of the most balanced formats in all of Magic. So I think there's a lot of good reasons to be playing Vintage. I have never seen a mono white. I am now on at the end of this league, if we do not see a mono white player, I will be on 40 leagues in a row, 40 matches in leagues in a row without seeing mono white. So it must be a time slot thing because I don't play against this deck, which is like really frustrating because I need to practice. So it is PO. And we did not draw our blue card, unfortunately. So I still think I like what we chose to do, and we just didn't draw the blue card. And now, I mean, we're not dead on board, but they're drawing 4. So we're pretty dead. I want to play against mono white. I need practice. I also think the matchup's good for like every deck I build, I think the matchup for mono white's good, so. So they still have enough to spin and find PO here. They passed. They must have hard cast force up. I did draw a blue card. Kind of awkward that the Vampiric was like way worse than a Mystical. I didn't take out the... Yeah, if I had kept Mystical instead of Vampiric, I actually probably am in like a winning spot in this game. But I think, you know, you typically just leave in Vamp. Got kind of wrecked by my 3 islands, I guess. I guess it would have been a Tundra if we were playing Esper, so it's not a huge deal. Yep, that's a force. I mean, they didn't whiff because they didn't spin. I think they have hardcast force, which is what I thought they had based on they passed the turn. It made a lot of sense that they had hardcast force. I don't think I would do that. I would probably spin, but I'm gonna bring. Nah, I don't care. We're gonna battle. So it looks like just Esper PO. Not clear if they have sagas or not. I think Esper PO is great right now. This looks fine. This hand's pretty bad against Flusterstorm, but Lotus Petal? That's interesting. Why would a PO deck be... Why would a PO deck be playing Lotus Petal? But why? Alright, well, I'm taking this opportunity here. If they want to Flusterstorm me off of Petal... Oh, they have Force. Okay! This is Vamp? Yeah, sure. Okay. Oh, Ancestral, okay. Everybody be pitching forces. Alright. I'm gonna naturally draw. No. I'm not gonna naturally draw. I'm gonna upkeep spin. It looks better this way. Oh. Oh no. That's not what we wanted. Okay. Well, I don't think they have more forces, so maybe it works. Oh, Archon of Cruelty. Oh god, don't Lavinia me. I will never recover. Oh, Demonic? Okay, you can't Demonic for Ancestral, though. So what are you gonna... Oh, Lotus. Do you have Yogwill in your hand? That would be insane. Black? Black. Yeah, they have Yogwill. Oh! Yeah, we can't beat Yogwill here. No shot. Wow. They can just Demonic for something and then Ancestral, Mystical Ancestral for Force. Yeah, we can't win here. Yogwill is nuts. But mostly because they had Black Lotus. This was a rough one. This is kind of the Tinker mirrors that I was expecting. They are usually fairly one-sided here. If we had like a Flusterstorm, maybe we had a shot. We spun and did not hit very well. I don't think I disliked the way I played the game. We kind of just had like one draw step plus spin to hit something, and we just didn't hit in time. So kind of a top of the deck issue. I think my opponent should just go Mystical for... Mystical for Tinker, Demonic for Mana Crypt. Brainstorm? Why'd you do that? I don't like this. I don't like this. Did we not have Mystical for Tinker, Ancestral into Tinker, Demonic for Mana Crypt? Blue, 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 black? Oh, no, that's one short. No, they only had 4 mana, right? Or did they have 5 mana? If they had 5 mana... I don't remember. Oh, they have a Flooded Strand they could have cast from their yard. Yeah, they could have just tinkered. Very weird. I mean, I'll take my extra turn. I don't think it's going to work out, but... yeah. Next turn we go top draw. Oh, no, we don't have anything next turn. Oh, okay, Vamp. Okay. I'm off it. Let's just go next. All right, here we are, round 5 of 5. Unfortunately, our opponent is also going to be another Tinker player. 5 Tinkers when we were trying to polymorph into Sarah's Emissary. You hate to see it. Guess I should have mulliganed. I'm getting turn 1 tinkered. I'm in pain. No, just PO. Oh, maybe it's Jewel Shops. Yeah, it's Jewel Shops. All right. I'm good off this. Legacy? I don't like playing Legacy. Legacy is not a fun format to play. I don't really like Flusterstorm versus Jewel Shops. Just gonna take out an island and a repeal and bring in Hercules plus Karn. Sag. I think this happens a lot of times when I try to play a fun deck that is got where the fun thing, where the interesting thing is good against like Bazaar and aggro shops and that kind of thing. Just play against only Tinker. I guess we should just be thankful that we didn't walk up to this league with 4 polymorphs in our deck. Because if we walked into this league with 4 polymorphs in our deck against mono Tinker, we would have gotten murdered. This hand's bad. This hand is bad. We need a forcible in our opening hand, or at least something that we're doing that is strong. We haven't really had the greatest hands tonight either. Do we have any Volkey kills? We had like 1 Volkey kill. We didn't have any natural Volkey kills, right? We only had the PO kill that turned into a Volkey kill. I think that I do think we haven't like hit super hard on our draws tonight. Yeah, this doesn't have an additional blue card though. I'm just gonna hope we don't die on turn 1 and try to resolve Karn. All right. Do your worst. Okay, that's a good sign. As long as they don't have like Manolith PO. Okay. I mean, I'm sure this gets forced, but give it the old college try. Yep. I can't really expect my turn 2 to resolve if they didn't kill me on turn 1. They are down to 2 cards left in hand. And we technically have, if we make it another turn, we technically have spin into Key. Or even spin into Saheeli, actually. Saheeli gives us 2 extra turns. Double time walk. So I think we have a couple good hits if we can get another turn here. Of course, we could always not have good hits. I wonder if I don't crack this. Ooh, what if we don't crack this? How much mana do I have? I have 4 mana. So I can just naturally draw spin. I don't think we crack this. 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It's not using my mana efficiently, but it is using my fetches efficiently. I want to see the most possible cards I can to look for a win on this turn. Okay, that's not a win. Saheeli. Awesome. Okay, so if I go Saheeli, make mana, do this, make mana, draw a card. Oh my god, I tapped my Pearl though. It's doomed. Could I have done this without tapping my Pearl? Yeah, I needed to play Saga and tap Saga. Ah! It's doomed. I had to tap Saga, not Pearl. I just had my basic normal play. I lost it. All right. I threw it. I'm sorry, chat. We're gonna lose this game because I threw it. But we definitely had a chance of winning this game if I didn't throw it. I played really badly tonight. So what I would have done is if I had not tapped Pearl, I could have played Saga, spun Saga, and then I could have changed Pearl into a Time Vault, tap it, take an extra turn. Top, draw Yogwill, Karn, and win the game. But I'm bad, so... Or even just take 2 turns and then go infinite with Saga. Yeah, I had so many free wins. So many free wins, and I just threw it. It was a guaranteed win. Bruh. Brutal. This is a key, or this is a jewel. Yep. That's so frustrating. Yeah. Man. Hey, today's been a really rough stream. Yep. PO for the win. It's so weird because I mapped it all out before the turn. Exactly what I wanted to do. And I just didn't do it right. I guess they have another PO. So I have to play this through because technically if they pass the turn with a bunch of forces, they still lose because copy on Pearl, take an extra turn is still lethal turn, infinite turns. But it looks like they hit the jewel mana, so I don't think it matters anymore. Why are they metamorphing monoliths instead of metamorphing jewels? Like, they just got rid of 6 cards. Oh, they just have another PO. Okay. All right, I'm off it now. That is way too many cards. All right, I threw that one. We had the win in that game, but I just mistapped, and I had to keep my Pearl untapped so that I could make sure I could tap it to make it when it's a Time Vault. And so we cast 0 polymorphs in our polymorph league. Unfortunately, that's not really something I can control unless we like chose people to play against. That is what can happen in a vintage league. They weren't all the same Tinker deck, obviously. There was Dark Ritual Sheoldred Tinker. There was Combo Jewel Shops Tinker. There was PO. There was Renee deck, Wheels deck. But still 5 flavors of Tinker. I do think this is a cool idea still. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to do a stream of it some other time and see if we can get a polymorph off. But thanks for hanging out. New vintage content Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the YouTube channel. I will see you then.